People love saying San Francisco never builds anything, but that is getting harder to argue. San Francisco's kind of been known as a city that doesn't build anything because it doesn't approve anything, and that critique has been very fair. But things have started to shift. Not everywhere, not all at once, but in a few places. You're going to see it in this video. I'm going to try to cut through the noise and focus on things that are not just on paper, that are actually approved and most likely going to happen. We've got a project that's going on a waterfront that had been off limits for over a century. And the most important project in the video has nothing to do with housing, so stick around for that at the end. And this whole Safeway project that you may or may not have heard of is one project on a state clock that the mayor cannot stop. Mayor LURIE is actively fighting one of these and he's losing. We're gonna get into that, so let's go. Okay, some of the biggest housing sites in San Francisco right now are not empty lots or abandoned warehouses. As you may have heard, they are grocery stores with giant parking lots. Safeway and their development partner Align have filed or are advancing major development plans at multiple locations across the city. And the neighborhoods they're in, not industrial corridors. We're talking Bernal Heights, the Marina, the Western Addition, and the Outer Richmond. This is the Safeway at the bottom of Bernal Heights, right on Mission Street. A mixed-use redevelopment is proposed for this site. If you've driven past that Safeway as much as I have, you know that this is a great opportunity for Bernal Heights. Preliminary permits have been filed for a large redevelopment at the old Safeway site in the Western Addition. This one has a neighborhood politics dimension to it. The Fillmore has a complicated history with redevelopment, and grocery access is genuinely important to this community. Worth watching closely. The Marina Safeway is the one that just had a major development in the past few weeks. The plan calls for 790 units in a 25-story tower with a replacement Safeway on the ground floor. The mayor's against it. 5 supervisors are against it. Residents protested on April 1st, but in late March, state stepped in, California law triggered a deadline. The city now has until early August to approve or deny it. And here's the thing, under state law, the mayor and the board do not have much say. This project is on a track they can't easily get off. Whether it gets built or not, this project may have already changed the rules of the game for every neighborhood in San Francisco. We're gonna come back to that. And then there's the Outer Richmond site near Ocean Beach. Around 526 units proposed. This is the edge of the city, right by the ocean, right near the park, but that is sort of the point. That's their whole strategy, rethinking these underbuilt areas in expensive, established neighborhoods. All right, before we get into the bigger wave of projects, one that deserves its own moment is BALBOA Reservoir. This sits right next to City College, just off of Ocean Avenue, right behind the Whole Foods that's there. Infrastructure construction started in November 2025. Building E, 128 units of 100% affordable housing, broke ground in March of this year. That's happening right now. Transit adjacent, mixed income, built on land that sat empty for years. This is exactly the kind of project people say they want to see, and it's coming. It's here. These are 128 families who are going to live next to City College, which, by the way, is free for San Francisco residents. Steps from a transit hub in a neighborhood that hasn't had new affordable housing like this in a very long time. That's kind of cool. BALBOA is a piece of something larger. We're talking about projects measured not in buildings, but in entire neighborhoods. And some of them are well underway. Let me run through the 4 that matter most. STONESTOWN. Okay, let's start on the west side because this is where one of the biggest neighborhood transformation stories in the city has been playing out. You might have already heard STONESTOWN Galleria has been approved as a major mixed-use redevelopment. 3,491 housing units planned across multiple phases. Now, this is a long game project. We're not gonna go driving by STONESTOWN this weekend and see cranes everywhere, but approvals are in place and this thing is real. What's cool about this is it isn't just the housing number, it's what it represents. A giant surface parking lot and an aging mall in an expensive transit-connected part of the city, being reimagined as a neighborhood. That's a completely different vision for what that part of the west side of San Francisco can be. Now, the big east side story that should be getting more attention has got to be Potrero Power Station. And unlike most of what we've been talking about, people are already living there. The Potrero Power Station is a massive old industrial site on the waterfront. It's being turned into a full neighborhood. Homes, shops, offices, community space, and nearly 7 acres of public parks. And here's the thing, it isn't a future project. The Sophie Maxwell Building, 105 units of affordable housing, opened in October 2025. And right now, crews are excavating the foundation of Block 2, a UCFS Cancer Research Center. This project is actually being built, phase by phase, building by building. Hey, if you're finding this useful, subscribe. I put out San Francisco content every week, and I try to make it the kind of content I would have actually wanted when I was trying to figure out this city. And here's the cool thing. This project opens a stretch of San Francisco's waterfront to the public for the first time in over 150 years. I feel like that is just expanding onto some of the best part of San Francisco, the Bay. So there's another waterfront story, and it's not that far away. If you head north along the Bay, you hit another one that's been quietly turning renderings into reality. Just across from Oracle Park, a new neighborhood is being built. Mission Rock has moved from renderings to reality. Mixed-use development, housing, retail, waterfront access, one of the city's signature projects for reconnecting the waterfront to the rest of the city. If you haven't been down to that part of China Basin lately, it's worth a drive. You can already feel that something new is being created there. And if you want to see what it looks like for San Francisco to actually try to build a new neighborhood from scratch, look at Treasure Island. Up to 8,000 housing units planned. The roads, parks, and first 1,000 homes are already done. New streets, new parks, new ferry connections to the financial district. This is the closest thing San Francisco has to a genuine, ground-up neighborhood building effort. Okay, every single one of these projects is built on land that the city just wrote off. A parking lot, a power plant, a naval base, an industrial waterfront. San Francisco isn't finding new land, it's reclaiming what it already had. Everything so far is about where people are gonna live. But this next one is a little different. There's a building in downtown San Francisco that cost over $1 billion to build. It has train tracks running through it, and right now, not a single train uses them. That is not a mistake. It is a placeholder for something that could change how this entire region works. Not every major change in San Francisco is residential. This one is about infrastructure. The Portal is a proposed project to connect Caltrain and eventually high-speed rail directly into downtown San Francisco, all the way to Salesforce Transit Center. The Portal is the missing piece of that. This is the project that would connect 11 transit systems in one place. If it gets built, it changes how the entire Bay Area gets to San Francisco. It's not happening tomorrow, but it's real enough to watch. If you're buying in San Francisco or trying to figure out which neighborhoods have the most upside over the next decade, pay attention to where this line eventually runs. Transit access is how neighborhoods get repriced. Not every approved project gets built. Not every plan filed today means construction next year. San Francisco track record in this is complicated. I've seen it up close, but that's not the same thing as not doing anything. You may not love every one of these projects, or you may have real concerns about some of them, and some of them are controversial for good reason, but here's what they are. And by the way, that Marina Safeway fight, whatever happens to that building, the fact that a developer used state law to outmaneuver the mayor tells you something important about how San Francisco is going to be built from here on out. Now, you've got to watch this next video of mine. It's where I go through the latest in the San Francisco real estate market. If you're thinking about buying or selling or just trying to keep abreast of what's happening, that's for you. I'm Clay Jeffrey, and I hope to see you at the next video.